Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Thursday. It's been big days around here every day this week, Cody. We now have a defensive tackle transfer, camp portal candidate that is actually in Austin, confirmed through his Instagram, talking to Vondre Sweat and looking like he is inside the Texas football offices just a minute ago, and also shooting pictures of the Austin skyline. It is Levon Johnson from Maryland, number 90. This is the second time the sophomore has entered the transfer portal. He was going to enter in the first transfer portal window. Apparently was talked into coming back to Maryland, and now is back in after, I don't know what might have happened this spring. Just give me your first thoughts.
First thoughts. Not a lot of box score to look at with this kid. Haven't watched a full game of him. I have watched some Jordan Phillips, who's the guy that played in front of him this past year at Maryland. Jordan Phillips is going to be in this current draft class. Big defensive lineman, number 8. If anybody watches on anything for Maryland, he's got dreadlocks and stuff. And this guy's got, pizza pans for quads. He's a run stuffer. He played for Maryland 537 snaps. Levon Johnson was in for 164 snaps. Played in 8 games for Maryland. I think he's a big body. Don't quite the level of expectation what I kind of thought Texas might get in the building, but I think it kind of shows you, man. Like, I don't want to say he's a dented can guy or anything, but like you talked about the second window, and I know there was theory that potentially, there's a lot more money out there. We're going to get some different guys in here. It kind of is giving you a market for what's going on right now in the defensive line group. And I know he tweeted out at least the number of teams that have kind of hit him up. It's Rutgers, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Mississippi State, Indiana, Utah, A&M, Oklahoma, and Texas were the teams that hit him up. So Texas is in that conversation because Texas needs defensive line help, as you reported this past week.
Well, I mean, it's okay. We'll talk about what we think about him as a player pretty soon. It's like you said, this was not a player that was on the radar. We just had to watch him before we came on, an abbreviated process. So this certainly is not a final eval. And if the guy does end up coming to Texas, we'll do a much deeper dive on him and all the rest. But this one feels it's weird. This one feels like this was one of those that happened real quick, and they and they get him on a FaceTime call with Vondre Sweat, and he's there in the building. He's taking photos. He's doing all this stuff. And what I always said is that we'll see what Texas thinks about their young defensive tackles and what Texas thinks about these transfer guys that they brought in when we see whether they go 1, whether they go 2. There was somebody that was a source closely associated with the defensive side of the football yesterday who said, man, did we talk about this yesterday, saying like, dude, like he's much more worried about the defensive line than he's about the offensive line. He says that offensive line is hard to go up against. He says it's the defensive line where we need to add another dude or two. And I was just thinking to myself, well, are we really sure that Texas during this spring period has gotten the full overarching view of what this room is going to be like, with the fact that they've been holding back Travis Shaw, who was the transfer from North Carolina, and that Justice Terry, who was their top recruit of this, well, I guess Jonah Williams, Justice Terry, a top recruit, a 5-star, 5-star out-of-state dude from Georgia, who reportedly got the biggest NIL deal that Texas has even given out yet. They haven't got to see as much of him either because he's been off and on, banged up a little bit, and being held back through spring practices as well. Also, Justice Terry comes in at sub 270 pounds, which makes it kind of interesting as to how he looks now compared to how he might look in the summertime and coming into the fall, where you're hoping he's closer to that, 285, 290, something viable to play in the SEC, which I think that he can get to. So this defensive line room that they've seen through camp thus far is not like it's going to be if everybody's healthy coming into fall camp. With that being said, I think they can probably project it and understand, where are we with these dudes? What kind of step has Alex January taken? What exactly do we have in Hero Canoe? What do we have in Cole Brevard? What do we think we have in Travis Shaw? How is Justice Terry's body going to develop? What about Melvin Hills? What about Josiah Sharma? And, whenever you rattle off those names, if you're a Texas fan if you're not the most rabid Texas fan, you would think like, well, who are those guys? Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go ahead and say it. 6'3", 311 pounds, appeared in 8 games last season. Looks like it was 19 tackles, 14 solo, 1 sack, 1.5 tackles per loss. He had 6 tackles in 1 game. That was his career high. That was versus Iowa. I just wonder. Whenever you watch so far the film that I've watched, it doesn't feel like a high level player. Doesn't move well. Not very balanced. Coming out of engagement. A little bit of an issue on the reps that I've seen with getting off blocks and resetting with any real anchor. Holds up decent versus double teams, but it's the ability to reset and the ability to be able to square up and make plays coming out of engagement that worries me a little bit with him. Not sure about the motor. I'm going to have to watch through more of these full games. I'm watching one right now. This is versus Michigan. So obviously, I think that's Michigan. Or no, is that Iowa? Yeah, that's Iowa. Iowa's good.
You want to share the screen? If it's caddies, we can. I mean, if it's the thing, we can share it if you want to share the thing.
No, it was put up by, I think it was put up by Levon Johnson. So I'm not sure if this is proprietary to their school or not.
Okay, then don't do that.
I don't know. It just, to me, do you have thoughts on him?
I think he's good. I think he's just baseline good. I think when you look at the advanced stats, again, we could talk about what we see on tape. He didn't play a ton, right? He had 164 snaps this last year. The one thing I can tie together is, again, he's playing behind Jordan Phillips, who's a very good run defender. Jordan Phillips this last year, from a run defense standpoint, had 20 run stops. The guy next to him, Tommy Akinga-Besate, had 20 stops as well. That's comparable to Alfred Collins and Vernon, who each had 27 and 26. This kid, Levon Johnson, had 8 run stops, 7.1% tackle rate. Missed tackle rate, because he missed 1 tackle. Again, he played 100 less snaps than Bill Norton, and he had pretty much equal production as Bill Norton did, for, I guess, context from that perspective, outside of the fact that Bill Norton got a sack this last year. He did not. So when you line the defenses up from Texas and from Maryland in your advanced stuff, again, this is why we use PFF. This is why I think PFF can be used decently, because you're comparing different situations across the board. And when you look at a grade across the board for these guys, he's not really at the top of the food chain when it comes to pass rush. All the Texas guys on the roster last year pretty much outperformed him. Bill Norton, obviously Lole, Broughton, Collins, these guys outperformed him from a pass rush standpoint, but his better grade is the tackling. Again, good baseline. Where does he fit in? Honestly, Alex, where does he fit in the Shaw, Brevard, Canoe thing? To me, it's probably closer to the Canoe side of the conversation.
Yeah, he's 6'3", 311. Or, I mean, the Shaw side, if Shaw hasn't gotten better.
Well, I would say that Shaw's tape was better.
Shaw, well, yeah, the flashes. Like
and
Shaw
haven't watched enough or seen enough of Levon Johnson to see if there is flashes. This happened literally within the last hour. Like, from a numbers perspective, I wouldn't say there's probably much out there for flash.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All I know is what he posted. He posted on Instagram that he was in Austin and Kenny Baker was sitting across from him, and he was talking to Kenny Baker. So
he's probably going to come to Texas.
That's got to be the vibe.
This is the Emmett Mosley, and it's kind of like it's not the Jack injuries. I mean, the tight end.
I wouldn't say he's quite an Emmett Mosley.
No, I don't mean this in Emmett Mosley. The timing. Transfer portal comes right to visit. It feels like they might be getting down to business with this guy. It's been a little. It hasn't been quite as fat. As far as I know, there hasn't been the same kind of what? How do I put it? The same kind of just. It feels like things. It's like, whoa. Well, that happened quickly, right? Maryland. Let's see. I'm trying to
Big Ten.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see if I can even find. So they said he had 6 tackles in the
Iowa game.
I wonder if we have access to Iowa here. Maryland.
Then last year against Rutgers is where he had his sack. His 1 sack through 2 seasons.
Okay. 20. So it was versus Iowa.
Yep.
So we have that. I'll kind of look at this here. And so, do you know what I'd have to do? I have to look at Iowa and see if we have that for Maryland.
Yeah, you got to go the opposite direction.
Does this tell you anything about? Do you understand what I'm saying? What I was saying earlier, though, Cody? Is it concerning to you? Is this the kind of player that you want to go into the portal and get? Do you think it's fine?
I'm worried. It's not because like I'm saying like this kid's bad. I don't think this kid's bad. I think he fits the Rutgers, he fits the Maryland, he fits the Mississippi State kind of prospecting. I think Philip Blitty last year, for those that remember, the guy that came from Indiana, was a defensive tackle. He had ties to Austin, and Texas didn't quite reach out to him. He was waiting for it, but they didn't quite reach out to him. He ended up going to Auburn. Blitty was a good player. Fine. Requisite. Great guy. I talked to him. And I think that's kind of like what I guess I could compare this to. Like, this is just a good football player, a fine football player. Got to the Power 5 level, played behind a guy that's going to be drafted this year, and he's a second-year guy. And obviously, I tend to trust a guy like Kenny Baker now, that's been in the NFL and that was able to pull off a Justice Terry play in recruiting.
Yeah.
Like, Kenny Baker's earning those stripes. So he sees something. He thinks he can do something here. It should be a hell of a value from that perspective. But again, like when you look at the group of teams I listed off before that have reached out to him immediately, obviously the big names in that was Texas
and Oklahoma.
Then Texas A&M, then Oklahoma, and then it's your North Carolina, Tech, Rutgers, like Mississippi State. Like that's that tier of teams, right? And so Texas and A&M feel like the 2 big teams that reached out to him that have, Texas really is the only team that is at this echelon right now in the sport amongst that group of 9 teams, if we're being honest with ourselves.
Yes, I mean, it certainly is. Certainly his biggest, his biggest offer right now. And he's certainly definitely, I would imagine, pleased and probably thinking that he's about to hit the NIL jackpot.
I don't know if but that's the thing. Like, I don't even know if he's I don't know. I don't want to put a number on the kid, but
here he is, 90. Let's see. This is his first rep in the Iowa game.
Gordon Phillips is at nose. Where's he at? 4-eye?
4-eye. Yeah, got the stop there. I mean, not a stop, but kind of a run stuff. You see here at the 4-eye. Not
decent extension, there. Eyes up.
Let's see if we get another rep here. He'll be on the backside of this play if he's in. This is kind of bad. This is not the best. So here he is again, 3 tech. I mean, not not bad as far as just the way you probably got to run down the line in your typical outside zone technique here.
Kind of pretty nice play by that guard, to be honest.
Yeah. Here's one that's going to be coming his way. So we have him here, head up at the 4, out to the 5. Yeah,
Phillips.
I mean,
that's Phillips.
Yeah.
Hit that again. Go back. I mean, he got driven off the ball on that one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, Phillips.
So here he is again. We'll see what we think of this one. We have I mean, it's not terrible. A little bit of an Olay there, but certainly,
I think there's potential here.
He sees zone action. He tries his best to make sure he can get what he wants to do here is
cross his face.
Wants to get across. Yeah, he wants to get across.
Muted yourself, Alex.
Sorry, good? Yeah, he's trying to get penetration here and get across into this zone lane, and he does a good job with that, right? But he follow up to make the play here. Got a little bit of an Olay there at the end. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's just a quick look at him. I think it's probably. I mean,
it's fine.
It's fine, but the issue is they're. It would have been, I see it like I see it with the wide receivers. If they go after another, and I feel like there's 1 or 2 wide receivers out there that we're hearing that if they get into the portal, the Texas is probably going to go after them. But they're the guys that Texas really, really covets, right? They're not going to go after just anybody. Do you, in doing so, I would think that might say something about what they think about the wide receivers that they're projecting to go into fall camp with, right? This says something similar about what they feel about the defensive tackles, but it doesn't feel like. Do you think this feels like a guy that they had singled out? That if he gets in the portal, we're going after this dude?
No,
it doesn't feel exactly like that to me.
I wouldn't say that unless there's a relationship there that we don't know exists.
Well, right.
Which I can't think off the top of my dome, Alex, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think. Obviously, Orfe was at Rutgers. Like, I'm just trying to connect assistants. Neil Brown's on the. He was at West Virginia, though. He could have recruited this kid 2 years ago to West Virginia. He goes to Maryland. I really don't know what could be a connection here, but I'll be honest with you, this to be answer your question, quite frank, I would say the percent chance that this kid was like on a predetermined list. Hey, if he's in, let's go get him. It'd be like closer to 5% than anything. Like, whereas like in Walter Nolan situation, to be like hey dude, this guy's in, all chips, push the chips in, and then you realize, all right, maybe you don't have enough chips for that conversation, but at least you're there, right? That's the dynamic, I would say.
Does this look like a player to you that looks like an upgrade on the other transfers? And do you think this spring portal is going to up? Here's the other thing about this spring portal, Cody. Didn't you tell me this thing's got like 10,000 kids in it?
Literally, there's 10,000 kids in the football side of the portal right now. And that's just the football side. There's like 34,000 overall across all sports. There's 4,000 in the FBS. Which is the top level where Texas is. There's 2,600 in the FCS, which is where North Dakota State, Sam Houston State, stuff like that. Well, Sam Houston was. And then there's 4,100 kids at the D2 and D3 level. So there's nearly 11,000 kids in the transfer portal in the sport of football right now, which is wild.
So it's 11. It's not 10. It's 11.
Yeah, it's like 10.7. That was 3 hours ago. So it's probably, it's probably closing in on that 11 number if it's not there already. But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, if you two things that kind of on the board today. First would be Catch has been kind of keeping up to date with some rankings for the portal, where he kind of laid out a couple of guys kind of as they were coming in and out, some guys that he kind of had written down as like targets or rankings for the portal. Two of the names that he written at defensive tackle was Demarion Thomas from Vandy, which we know you can't go to the SEC to get a player.
Yep.
That was a top ranked defensive tackle that Catch had in here. And then Alexander Whitmore from UNLV. Don't know who that is, but what I'm just saying is I don't know, and I watch a lot of football, and I don't know who that is. So that kind of gives you gives me the marker of like where the defensive tackle group is, and then we see LaVon Johnson go in. The other side of the coin would be, and the other dynamic here, and I'll let you get your thoughts here in a second, but he put the truth in Catch put in the truths and lies column today, which is a new column that's only been up going for like a month now on Orange Blood. You guys should go check it out. And he brought up a thing that says, in a moment of truth, is it the moment of truth for Chris Del Conte and the NIL at Texas? And he has a little write-up in here basically discussing the dynamic of NIL and, rev share stuff and settlement and all that crap that's coming down the line. But the amount of money that is needing to start to be managed and fundraised and all this stuff around Texas because of the men's basketball team, the women's basketball team, the baseball team, the football team, all having success, not to mention, softball and volleyball and all this other stuff. Like, the amount of money needs to be spent, and you look at the portal and you go, all right, well, are we going to sit here and hold out, or are we going to go poach $1 million guy? Or do we try to say, all right, we got 3 guys already. Kenny Baker picked this guy out. He pointed at him. He said, I think there's something there. I can work with that. This is a guy that I've, potentially had a communication with before, earlier in recruiting or in life or whatever. And I can get him in here for 150 or 100 or something like this, right? Or we can get him a truck and he'll come I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm just pontificating on the idea that potentially it's a value play here for a football player that was a 3-star coming out of high school, goes to Maryland. Like I said, plays behind Jordan Phillips, who's a draft pick, and was once in the portal in the winter, goes back in.
What does that say?
Well, what it says is that he maybe didn't feel like it was the right fit. And then Jordan Phillips declares for the draft and he goes, well, there's a spot there for me. And he goes back and realizes that maybe either the fit still isn't there or that somebody else is in that Jordan Phillips role. And it was like, it's not going to be a role for me, which in reality, if that's the thing, how do I say this? If at Maryland, there wasn't a spot for you, at Texas, is there going to be?
Something had to have happened through spring to where he's unhappy with the situation.
Well, but again, he went in for a day in the winter.
I know, but he probably, Cody, you know what happened, or I guess I'm not saying we know what happened. I don't care a hill of beans about Maryland football. But what I will say is, it's like he was probably like, man,
I know Loxley's a good coach.
Well, okay, Mike Loxley.
He's a good coach.
Yeah, I think Texas fans have a feeling about him because of his son Kai Loxley and some. I'm sure he's fine. The thing about this though is, like, I would figure that he was saying, I'm getting in the portal, looking for greener pastures, all this stuff. And they said, like, what are you going to do that for? Like, you're going to come back and start. He's like, oh, okay. All right, I'll come back. I'll see this thing through. And then he's still unhappy after spring. I would assume that would mean that something had to have happened during spring. And my question is this. All right, so you tell me your thoughts on this. If there's 10,700 people in the portal right now, there's no way that a defensive tackle can hold a team hostage the same way that like a Dominic Williams did between OU and LSU and Texas as a mediocre player for $1 million.
This is not this isn't a Dominic Williams.
So you think Dominic Williams is a better prospect?
Yeah.
I think I would tend to agree. But Is this portal going to be cheaper?
Well,
because it's like
relative. Like if you look at what Dominic Williams had a year ago, Williams was coming off at TCU playing 477 snaps. He was graded out higher than every Texas. He was graded out higher than Sweat and Murphy from a tackling perspective. And he wasn't that far behind them in run defense. He had 3 sacks, 13 run stops, 18 pressures. Like Dominic Williams definitely had more sustenance to his profile. And also, I remember on the wax, he was better than LaVon Johnson from what we've seen so far. So if he's worth $1 million a year ago, like I guess you could say in a bizarre world where you really feel like a hostage, this kid's maybe worth $350 max. I don't even think that though. You know what I'm saying? Like you would really have to be,
I think you pay this guy what you would pay Hero Canoe.
Here's the thing, man. How about that Canoe thing? Because the Canoe thing we heard, he'd only been playing football for a couple of years. And we asked, is he worth 800,000 to a source? And that source said, how bad do you need defensive tackle? And we said, pretty bad. And he's like, yeah. And that's coming from Ohio State, where he probably would have played this year. And he's very new to the sport. And there's a lot of projection there in that player. I don't think all those things go into the same conversation with LaVon Johnson. I don't think it's like, hey, how bad do you need a defensive tackle? Is he worth 800,000? No, like they don't need a defensive tackle that bad. You know what I'm saying? And I also don't see that much projection of upside. Like there's something there with LaVon Johnson, but I wouldn't say it's a raw slate closer to what I would say for Canoe. Does that all make sense? I think this is closer to like a Brevard.
Oh, I think you got to give Brevard more money.
No. I think you think Brevard got more than 100,000?
No, I don't know what he made. He needs to like. I'm hoping they would give him more money than they would offer LaVon Johnson.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. I think he's kind of like more in the Brevard mold, but he's kind of like a light version of Brevard. Like
he's
Brevard light.
He's 6'3", 311.
I'm not talking about weight, height. I'm talking about play. Like when I said yesterday, Jamarian Carlton is his junior film is like Colin Simmons' sophomore film light, right? That's like he looks like him, but the gas ain't the same.
Attributes aren't the same. It's like it's not. He doesn't operate at the same level,
right? So you can say LaVon Johnson's Cole Brevard light. Like he's just like,
I think LaVon Johnson looks like looks a little more. They keep calling him a nose tackle when they refer to him
he wasn't the nose. I'll tell you that.
Maryland reporting, but it's like, I think maybe they were expecting him to take over at nose after Phillips left.
Yeah,
I think he could play 1 or he could play 3 technique. And look, I mean, in those clips we saw versus Iowa, that's it. The one thing that we say about, like, you saw number 2 back there in the backfield, that's Caleb Johnson. That's a good running back. He's one of the best pure outside zone runner in this class, as far as just his vision, his ability to navigate and that stuff. And the whole question about him, just from a scouting perspective and from an evaluation side perspective, is how much of that was blocked for him. People had a lot of respect for how Iowa ran the outside zone play last year, right? And so you take that into account versus the way that he was able to fill in some of those zone lanes, get his head across, be able to allow himself from getting to be able to disengage in a way that didn't allow himself to get stacked over and over again, but also when he disengages, just a little bit of stuff with balance and not squaring up to the ball carrier as much as you would really like. And to me, when there's issues with disengagement and not being able to square up with balance, that is going to rear its very ugly head in this stuff where Kenny Baker starts telling him to get his feet working with his hands and all this stuff like that. And even once he gets that done, once he does his rip or whatever, it's one of these things you worry about where he kind of loses his feet whenever he's trying to pressure the passer. It's like this stuff manifests in all kinds of different ways. So I'm not saying he's not going to be good. I don't even know he's going to come to Texas. I don't know. It feels to me like this is throwing another body in there that is that feels about like this Jermaine Lole, Bill Norton type. And you just hope it's not a Tia Oali'i Savea type.
Yeah, that's Trill Carter, Tia Savea. That's interesting. So you talked about the nose listing and how they talk about him as a nose. PFF has him registered for 35 nose snaps last season. They have him registered for 38 right defensive tackle, 39 left defensive tackle, 22 right end, and 23 left end. So very diverse in his utilization on the defensive line.
Well, we saw him just now in a 3 technique, a 4 technique, and a 5 technique, watching like 5 different plays.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, so that's
is he a take?
Not. Yeah. You need bodies.
It's April 17th, though. The portal opened yesterday. Is he a take or is he a let him? Are you gonna? Here's the here. This is the Dominic Williams thing because remember he bounced around.
He wants to get me in some kind of bidding war with Oklahoma and A&M and stuff.
If you have him in the building, is he a take or do you let him go out, do his lap, and then potentially reassess in 3-4 days to see if anything else goes into the portal?
So high stakes.
You're the coach. You're Kenny Baker sitting in that office. What do you do?
High stakes game of chicken here, Cody. Who's going to be the one that swerves the wheel off and gives this kid $500,000? Because the next school he goes to, if they do it, he's just going to commit there, right? You got to get these. You got to go fast. How many non-SEC guys are going to come out
and be worth the, worth a hoot?
Look, if Kenny Baker wants him, I'm fine with it. If it were me, I'd be hesitant.
That's the answer. That's the answer.
If it were me, I don't know. I'm gonna need to watch a little bit more film. I think it's like you said. I think he's fine. I think he's fine. If I have to say one, I think he's a take, I guess.
I think that was the answer though. If Kenny Baker says, let's go, I think it's let's go. I trust Kenny Baker. Kenny Baker's not quite to the flood level, but he's getting his stripes quick.
He's turned out to be good, right? Hey, I have we know the Texas Beef Traders is good. It's always good. But we certainly want to get in there pretty quick. They just got their delivery for Easter weekend yesterday. So if you want to go in there for Easter, you want to get 10% off, make sure and go check them out. And before they run out of food, Cody, I was thinking I might need to go up there tomorrow to pick up some grub for us because for Easter, it's on Sunday. People are going to be coming in there, getting their roast, getting their steaks, getting their stuff. If you live out here in this area, Texas Beef Traders is where you're going to go. Everybody knows that it's the best. Everybody knows that Darren is going to treat you really well. And I'm going to go ahead and beat the Saturday crowds and go in there tomorrow to get some beef loaded up for Cody and I for whenever we head out to cover the draft next week. So we'll get that done tomorrow. You should get it done too. You get 10% off whenever you tell them that you heard about them here on Orange Bloods Live. So make sure and just check out our friends over there at Texas Beef Traders. While we're talking about our friends here, of course, we cannot fail to mention our great friends who are keeping this Specs chat line going. So many people in the Specs chat tonight, man. It would not be available without our great friends over at Specs.
Have you heard the news? Specs is turning 63, and we're celebrating you. Whether you're looking for whiskey, canned cocktails, or wine, Specs has it all with Texas-sized savings all month long. Specs. Cheers to save.
So I'll probably be doing the whole like the Football with Friends trio, Cody, tomorrow. I'll be going to Texas Beef Traders. I'll be heading right down 620 to go to Specs to get some wine and stuff for the weekend, right? And doing it, I think why not? I will be wearing my clothes, or at least a gray shirt from Poncho Outdoors. The the trifecta. The only thing that can make it better is if on the way I called up Andy Ludicky from myperfectfranchise.net on the way from on the way from Texas Beef Traders to Specs while I'm wearing my Poncho shirt, and talk to him about
eating beef jerky.
Talk to Andy Ludicky from myperfectfranchise.net about all the ways that he can help me out. If I ever needed to find the perfect franchise for me, of course, you can talk to Andy, myperfectfranchise.net. All right. And also, speaking of good, so we have just a couple things from practice that we haven't hit on. Is there any juice to all this Amari Winston hype talk from Coach Sark?
I think so. I mean, here's my question to you back was, like, after we realized how much he's been saying, we've been moving him around, we've been doing this, we've been doing that. He keeps showing how good he is, how strong his hands are, how prepared he was. He's big body and how fast he moves. All these different like ways he's talked about him. And I just simply asked you this question. I don't know if it was yesterday or what. We were doing some pre-show, and I just said, Jordan Washington had a good spring last year. Good spring game, good last drive. That's kind of what we've held his hat on. And the expectation was that he was going to come in and do something, and we heard some good words. Obviously, he has the collarbone injury. Sark has not said in 365 days as much about Jordan Washington as he has about Amari Winston in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. It's weird, right? So, all right. So these are the players that Sark mentioned by name on Tuesday when he was asked about who stood out at the Saturday scrimmage, which was the big scrimmage of the week. I think they're practicing probably as we speak right now. So they had a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Thursday practice this week. But the Monday practice we talked about, shoulder pads and helmets. Wednesday, shorts and helmets. I don't know what they're doing right now. I think they're practicing. I think that they're having a stadium practice tonight, and I'll bet you it might be in pads, but I don't know. Maybe we'll have something about that in the war room. It might be hard though after this to be able to talk to anybody before the war room comes out. So that might be some reporting that we'll have in Orange Bloods on Friday about what happened. But the players he mentioned unsolicited were Warren Roberson, Jelani McDonald, Hero Canoe, Cole Brevard, Brad Spence, Amari Winston, Parker Livingstone, and Brandon Baker. Now, with Brandon Baker, he mentioned that, he's glad to be seeing some consistency from him lately, which to me means maybe there was a level of inconsistency previously, right? Maybe that's why this continued battle rages on between Brandon Baker and Andre Kojo at right tackle. Is that kind of how you read it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I got a note in the war room tonight about Cam Williams, and I just like that right tackle thing just is such it's a weird dynamic, man, that like, imagine, if there was a world, I think that you could opt out of the draft up until the draft, I think you potentially see Cam Williams wearing burnt orange again. And I think that both parties would be for that. And I just like, I wish whatever happened could have situated itself to see Cam Williams back in burnt orange this year, because this right tackle thing, even being a conversation of, it's a battle, and here's the thing, not being able to be there for at least a couple of practices, you don't got to be there for 9 like Clemson does, but, or all of them, or have a spring game where people can watch, but something where you get an idea of what the competition really means. Does the competition between Baker and Kojo really mean like, hey man, these are 2 alphas duking it out to be, in the conversation for all SEC second or third team?
That's a good point.
Or is just 2 guys duking it out to just be the 5th guy on the offensive line this year? Like, that's the level. Like, I want to figure out what that is. And we wouldn't even be having that conversation if Cam Williams was at Texas right now. I know he's not, but like I said a second ago, I think just for all parties, like you'd be having the Baker and Kojo they're duking it out to be Cam Williams' backup, and you'd hear probably good things, just like you do about Nick Brooks being behind Gooseby right now, and it'd be a whole different dynamic. So, I think that's probably the number one position battle that we've been watching, and that we will continue to watch through the fall. And like you said yesterday, it's not going to come to a head till the fall. Livingstone, that's an interesting one too, though.
I mean, he just says that he's kid, it's the same stuff. Livingstone looks like Livingstone, and we'll see if they.
It's starting to go big. It's starting to go big. I saw Sam Spiegelman make a post about it today on Rivals National site.
Oh yeah, was that the one where he kept calling him Parker Livingston?
Yeah, no E on the end. He forgot the E, even though there was a picture of Parker Livingstone's jersey that said Stone. He put Stun. No E on the end. But anyway, the point is, like, it's now potentially, it's probably not going to pick up any steam, but the next time he posts about him, which he will, somebody will, and the next time, and then the next time, and then when somebody sees him catch a football and they go, oh, the white kid's good, then then he might get some respect. But until then, we'll just say Sark knows, Chris Jackson knows, and Alex Dunlap knows that Parker Washington's the truth.
Parker Washington, I'm not sure. I think he's the truth.
I just said Parker Washington.
I think Parker Washington's about to lose a job to your boy Xavier Restrepo or somebody like that.
Yeah, Parker Washington. Yeah, Penn State to Jacksonville. You got me too riled up there. Parker Livingstone's the truth. That was a good bar there. Sark knows, Chris Jackson knows, and Alex Dunlap knows that Parker Livingstone is the truth, and I just butchered it.
Yeah. Amari Winston, I'm reading these backwards. I don't know why, but the Amari Winston, I think that's just a fact. That's just a matter of it's interesting. He talks a lot about it. It's like, I love his speed. I love the way he catches the ball. I love his body control, all the things we saw on film. It's like you start hearing a coach talk about attributes of a player that he keeps noticing through practice. That to me is that's more, I don't know. It just feels like there's more signal there than just to say, I really like the way that he's been coming along and the way that he's been taking things in. You know what I mean? It's like a coach looks at him and it's like, that means he's been looking at that guy with admiration about his skill set.
Yeah.
So to me, that's interesting. I'm wondering if he can be like an immediate contributor, like a Lance Jackson type. We keep hearing more and more about Lance Jackson. After I put out my report yesterday saying that, like, somebody was telling me, like, dude, he's going to play. He's working in with the starters. Do you know Colin Simmons yesterday said that guy's going to be a round one draft pick here in about 3 years?
Jackson?
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty awesome, huh?
Well, Simmons, I mean, if somebody's going to speak
about who looks like a round one draft pick, should be the guy that looks like a round one draft pick.
It's going to be a round one draft pick talking about him.
I mean, Colin Simmons knows what a round one draft pick looks like, man. He's got mirrors all over his house. Brad Spence, we talked about him yesterday. He says they're getting the best version of him. That was actually the quote that I used whenever I reached out to somebody yesterday. Was like, what does that mean? It basically means he's working out both with the linebackers. Right now he's backing up Ant Hill, but he's also going over with Trey Moore to work with the edge guys. So, like, that's a whole subject that we'll have a lot to talk about. He mentioned Canu and Brevard, just talking about how they've been solid. He likes what he's seen out of them. I think that's mainly because, the Travis Shaw stuff and the Justice Terry stuff and those guys, those are the two that have at least they've been healthy the whole time. Jelani McDonald, we know why he mentioned them. I reported on Tuesday or Monday that they were working him out of the nickel, which was sort of an interesting thing to hear, and that he was rushing the passer and using him off the edge. And he just said that he's been I forget what the term was, but he just said a real force multiplier or something, or a positive force for us. And then he mentioned Warren Roberson, saying he's been good on defense, but also just really good on special teams. And so those are the guys. And I find it, of all those dudes, I mean, they're all kind of expected to be pretty big parts of the team and stuff, except for Amari Winston.
Yeah, but
what?
There's no Jack injuries in the roster yet.
Well,
the Claire guy's not on the roster. Washington's hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, they're too busy.
Spencer Shannon's not Gunnar Helm.
It's gonna be. I mean, no. Gunnar Helm's gonna be like a 4th-round draft pick.
Nick Townsend's not here.
Yeah. You think if
What do they say the best available? What do they say the best ability is? I just butchered that. What do they say the best ability is? Availability.
Yeah. Well,
we gotta take with what we're given.
Yeah. So, but I find it interesting. What are the chances that Amari Winston plays 30% of snaps next season? 0?
I wouldn't say 0.
Last year, if you look at snap percentages for the offensive, offensive snap counts, it would be where's skill player participation. Gunnar Helm 87% of snaps, Juan Davis 34, Amari Niblack 10, Spencer Shannon 6, Jordan Washington 3.5.
So yeah, I mean, there's your answer. If Jordan Washington played 3.5% last year with Gunnar Helm, Amari Winston's playing football.
I think probably what Amari Winston will be is in the Amari Niblack kind of role and play about 10-15% of snaps. If they don't bring in a transfer, if they don't bring in a jack injuries or something.
Jatavian Sanders, freshman season, he played 107 snaps. But no, sorry, 79 was on special teams. He played 28 snaps of offensive football.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at 2023 about the tight end usage here. So the tight end usage, 2023, JT Sanders, 583, Gunnar Helm, 452, Malik Agbo, 110, Juan Davis, 40. There's always been, like, I don't know, man. If he's not one of the top 2 dudes, he's probably not going to play.
I'll go 7.5%.
7.5% of snaps.
Buy it or sell it?
I will.
April 17th.
I'll buy the over. For Amari Winston. I'll buy the hype. Now, you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find us on X at Cody Carpentier, at Alex Dunlap NFL. You can find all of our content over at rosterwatch.com. We're here every day from 6 to 7 p.m. We're so pumped to always be here with you. Thanks to everybody for being here with us live, and everybody who's going to be watching this tomorrow on Friday, which is 99% of you. Thank you guys so much, man. We definitely appreciate it. We love having you around. We just ask that you please like the show, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend about the show if you think that they would dig it. And if you like it, it's your first time watching, just come back tomorrow. And if you're watching at night, great. Come back tomorrow night. If you're watching during the day, great. Come back tomorrow during the day. Whatever it is, we're here every day, 6 to 7 p.m. on Football with Friends. All right. We'll be back tomorrow for a big, good final takes coming into Easter weekend. A Good Friday final takes, Cody. It's going to be a big time. We certainly appreciate it. Certainly love you guys. Certainly thank all our sponsors, Texas Beef Traders, Poncho Outdoors, Specs, and MyPerfectFranchise.net. God bless you guys, man. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.